Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Baka ano, ma'am? Dalawang gamit mo, ma'am?
Wala po, isa lang po, laptop lang.
Ah,
Oh, hello, good morning.
Oh, sabak dito ba? May background.
try, ma'am, try daw to headset, ma'am.
Okay, teka.
Jimenez, since you are the one sharing the screen,
Yes, Doc.
are you the one sharing the screen?
Yes, Doc. Ano sa ako, Doc, ha?
Mm. So that on the part of Amaya, it will not be your voice. What siya? What happens to your connection, Amaya? Capture siya sa mo ang voice.
Hello.
Okay, Jimenez, are you now in the process?
Yes, Doc. Yeah.
Okay, speak it out. And you present it now.
Kana, Doc, nakita ng screen, Doc.
Yeah, pero the content is not yet okay. That's it. Okay. So,
Hello.
Miss Amalia, you can start now.
Hello, good morning. Ma'am, nawala, ma'am. Good morning, everyone. Ah, okay na, okay, ma'am. Okay. With our discussion with my classmates, this is our output. Case 3, a consulting project. Recently, Professor Cruz, a business professor at EWRM University, was contracted by the Vice President for Administration of the university, who required whether a management development program could be initiated to train newly appointed supervisor and middle-level managers throughout the university in some basic management skills and techniques. The Vice President explained that these new managers would come from many different departments and offices of the university and would be heterogeneous in age, sex, and educational background. Some of the specific topics the Vice President wanted Professor Cruz to cover were improving personal organization and time management, improving communication among peers and between managers and subordinates, evaluating the present structure and work group, team building, improving performance, evaluation, and control, motivating employees and doing a better job of planning. As Professor Cruz was developing this program for the university, the general manager of a big construction firm called and requested him to develop some management training modules for 7 senior project managers who were aspiring for corporate executive status. The general manager requested some specific modules on management by objectives, strategic planning, and improving interpersonal communication, team building, improving leadership style, and improving understanding of what motivates employees. He indicated that all the project managers were men, had substantial experience in the construction industry, were between 30 and 45 years old, and most had college degree in engineering or construction management. Professor Cruz indicated that he would gladly prepare the modules and he would start the series very soon because he already had developed much of the materials for some modules by working on the PWRM project. At this statement, the general manager became a bit hesitant and informed Professor Cruz that he did not want to account programs, but rather a customized series for the unique management problems of the manager in the construction industry. In this case, our point of view is Professor Cruz, a business professor at PWRM University. Our statement of problem is there a difference between managing a school and managing a construction firm? Yes, ma'am. Our objectives are plan a management program, to compare a management program as specified by the university and the construction firm, and to know the difference of managing a university and a construction firm. So there are areas for consideration. Areas of consideration are first, university. In university, we should new managers would come from many different departments and offices of the university and would be heterogeneous in age, sex, and educational background. So in construction firm, all the project managers were men, have substantial experience in the construction industry, were between 30 and 45 years old, and most has college degree in engineering or construction management. So dalawa yung areas of consideration. Then number two is different organization. Kasi two different organizations. Kasi in this area, uh, na-confuse kami dalawa ni Ma'am Jimenez kasi nag-discuss kami dapat kung si Professor dapat dalawa yung gagawin mo na tips at saka yung statement of problem, but this is the outcome. Okay, next ma'am. Thank you. There are areas of consideration. SWOT or SWOT for university. Sa strength niya, newly appointed supervisor and middle level managers, heterogeneous in age, sex, and educational background. But in opportunity, improving communication among peers and between managers and subordinates, then improving performance evaluation and control, then motivating employees management and training. Then sa weakness is heterogeneous in age, sex, and educational background. Then three different departments and offices of the university. Then areas of consideration for construction firm. Maswak pa rin yun. Strength niya is project managers were men, substantial experience in the construction industry, college degree in engineering or construction management. Then opportunity, aspiring corporate executive, improving interpersonal communication, improving leadership, improving understanding of what motivates employees. Then weakness, not want to account programs. Then senior project managers aspiring for corporate executive status. Alternative courses of action. First is I will make a management program and I want to focus with advantages, time management, two, focus and commitment. Then disadvantage, I have to refuse the request of other organization. Then I can hit two birds in one stone. Continue with the university modules and revise it according to the request of the construction firm. Advantages: both are for manager program and modules might be applicable for all. 2. Hitting two birds with one stone. Disadvantage: time. Specific points of each organization might not meet. Then number 3, finish the university development program, and after that, start with the construction firm request. Then advantages, I will be able to manage it, one lang, advantage lang. I will be able to manage it one at a time. Then disadvantage, time consuming. Decision, then alternative course of action number 2. Number 2 is continue with the university modules and revise it according to the request of the construction firm. Yung advantage niya, both are for management. Nawala. Okay, plan of action. Skills training is best accomplished through proactive engagements with subordinates daily. These skills include motivating employees, leadership and influence, C, factors for measuring leadership and management performance, conflict management, C, conflict resolution training and managing workplace conflict, work scheduling and planning, project management, time management, and C, time management, problem solving, negotiating, decision making, and team building, managing and multi-generation of workplace. So, reference. So, dito na pasok yung mga report namin po.
Okay. So, do not take it out. Go back to your first slide.
First line.
And then I will ask the members of the class, because the point of view of the reporting group, the point of view, you start now, okay. The point of view of the group is Professor Cruz. So the class will act as either, especially the one, the manager, the general manager of the construction company. So because the other one is actually for the university, the president has no qualms in it. But it is now the manager, the general manager of the construction company, who was actually asking something. Okay? So the class will be asking questions to Professor Cruz, the members of this group. Okay? So Professor Cruz is acted by reporters Amualia and also Jimenez. Okay? So members of the group, you ask questions to Professor Cruz. You act like, by the way, members of the group, members of the class, no? Will have to act like you are the general manager of the construction company.
As a
Yeah,
yes, as manager of the construction company, I want to ask Professor Cruz, the module that you are going to create, how many weeks or how many days are you going to uh, do that? I mean, we have a certain timeline, right? So we have to train our we have to train our senior project managers. So, how long are you going to finish? Like, what's the timeline that you're going to finish the modules for the scheduled training for our senior managers? Because I think I requested yeah, modules for management, by objectives, strategic planning, interpersonal communication, team building, improving leadership style, and improving understanding. So how long it would take you to finish the modules in time for the training for my senior managers?
Ah, good morning. Depende kung how many yung, I mean, ah, maybe 2 weeks or it depends upon the situation. Halimbawa kung yung mga trainers niya is mga bata pa or ano tawag dyan?
Ma'am Espeha, based sa case study, it will depends on the date given kung when we are going to submit. If they will give us a deadline on a specific time, it would be much easier kay i-revise naman lang siya. So coming from the idea of the university, sorry, from from the university, i-revise na lang siya nga ma-meet pod ang expectation sa request sa construction firm. So it will depends on the deadline.
Okay? So
Yes
that's
po.
the
Kasi hindi,
answer of
kasi hindi,
Mr. Cruz.
additional po kasi hindi man na ano doon na may deadline siya talaga na binigay po.
Yes po, well, no deadline, but if you were, because I said, as a construction manager, because I said that you have to, um, I want it not to be a canned program, right? So, kung yun lang talaga ang focus, example lang ha, kung yun lang talaga ang focus niyo, yung sa construction lang talaga, how would it take lang if you're going to create those modules? Kung hindi mo i-base dun sa previous ano nyo ha, kasi may special request yun eh.
Uh,
Yun
yeah.
ang
So,
program. So,
mhm.
what do you think?
So I will also ask you as Professor Cruz, okay, I will also ask you, Mr. General Manager, when do you want us to submit the presentation of the modules?
Is it possible to do it like 2 weeks or 3 weeks?
Since you requested to have a canned program for your employees or for your specific supervisor, okay, we'll give you update after 1 week in regards with the management program. So we are going to make a unique presentation specifically for your firm, and we'll give you updates every week or every now and then in regards with the program that you want us to present.
Thank you.
Okay, other question? The others. We have some other questions to Mr. Cruz, Professor Cruz. No question? Could you move next part of that, as after the point of view you have the statement, the problem. So there's something there that is asked. Is there a difference which the group did not try to expound in your ideas of consideration, even in the alternative courses of action? What's the difference there? Reporters?
Yes,
Between
Doc.
managing a school and that managing the construction firm.
Okay.
So,
Well, basically, Doc, if you can see, they are both two different organizations, coming from the university and coming from the construction firm. However, we are talking about management in here. So, nag-ano come up ko sa idea na, like for example in our class, not all of us is actually taking, not all of us is actually educators, right? Not all of us are teachers. Some are coming from a different field, like some fire, or there are some police officers that taking the educational management. So if you can see, we are talking about how to manage university and organization, but ang ilang goal is still in the management. So, maanan mo nga murag, wala din siya kaayoy, not because university ang nag-request or construction firm, but then since talking about management, everything can be applied specifically sa ideas or sa request sa university. Most likely they are asking for the improvement of the communication, wherein it also hits the request for the construction firm that they want an interpersonal, improving the interpersonal communication skills of their um, project supervisors. So there's also one that was mentioned, that time management in the university, which also considered in the construction firm. So kung ano mo siya, wala kay difference, Dok.
Okay, so how do you convince now the general manager of the construction company? Because he was actually not having a good you know, impression about a canned program. So how can you convince the sign the
Well, we will
construction?
just go ahead with the idea, Doc, na we'll go ahead and make a specific plan, okay, intended only for
You
his
prepare a
construction firm.
specific plan.
Mm.
What would be that plan?
But
That is actually part of the plan of action that you
mm,
have to
yes, Doc.
convince Mr. The general manager that you said there's no difference at all. And how can you convince?
For that one, Doc, we will just go ahead and present specific plan intended only sa construction firm we're in. We'll go ahead with the skill training program. So we will not go and mention
Anyway,
the
Ms. Jimenez, you could not go ahead and proceed to the training without having first the agreement with the general manager. That's why it's the general manager of the construction company that you need to convince that somehow what you wanted to be given, to be trained to the the executives, no, or those who will be in the position, especially the supervisors, because this is part of the development program, no, human resource development program, wherein they have the so-called the next in rank, no, to be really prepared. So especially for the succession program, so that any time when one is retiring or is retired or probably has resigned, someone can succeed to a particular position, and this is one of the reasons why there is that particular program, no, for succession. And then, so that you will be prepared, you have to undergo, from time to time training, so that you would understand as to what is it to be in that level in case one has the opportunity to get up. Okay? So how do you convince now the general manager? Because you could not just proceed, no, without convincing, because there is a reaction coming from the general manager, wherein the general manager said that what did he say? That he does not want can, no? He said he was hesitant, became a bit hesitant, and informed Professor Cruz that he did not want to a can programs, but rather a customized series for the unique management problems of managers in the construction industry. Well, how do you do that? And that should have been seen in your plan of action. Hmm. What would be your answer?
lagi
That,
ko
yes.
maano do kay kanang sa murag sa plan of action, if convincing the general manager, Doc, maybe sa part nga kanang maglay na lang ka nga instead kanang dili na lang nimo i-mention nga you're working with the university program as well.
No,
No.
you have mentioned it already because you said already that, okay, I have prepared something, no, for the university
Mhm.
which I can use for your construction company. And that is actually the reason why the manager was hesitant and he was hurt about that particular comment. So if you say that you will not mention, it has been mentioned already.
Mhm. So maybe Doc, I will go ahead and convince general manager for mentioning na
That's the point.
although it's
Yeah, that's the
kanang
point I was asking.
mm,
Show the program that you can convince the general manager, which is the class. The class is the general manager, and you are the Professor Cruz.
oh, wala ba mi ko kung ano sa kanang plan na Doc, pero ang ano lang Doc is sa
Yes,
ano lang niya with the idea nga murag ano Doc is ang request sa construction firm that we have to focus on specifically sa male or men kay mo gito iyang ginano nga more on the construction firm is wherein ang mga supervisor is all men. So, i-insert na lang ang idea pero wala minakay mo og plan of action for specific unsa na kanang ilag yung himuon.
yeah, because you are Professor Cruz. You know, as what is this? As a consultant, normally, actually, you have to make a proposal, no, a proposed program of activities, which will have, that's part of the plan of action, which you will have to discuss with the general manager. And that's the one that you have to show to us, no? Supposed to be the plan of action that would inform the general manager, which you can discuss with the general manager as to what will transpire, no, for the training and how long will it take, so that there would be negotiation. Like for example, if the general manager will say that it would just be good for 2 days or 3 days, so you'll have to make a program, no, of training. So the program of the training will be spelled out properly. Day one, what will be concentrated, especially uh, that the chair manager has indicated here, no, that these are that all the project managers were men, have substantial experience in the construction industry. So they have already experience in the construction industry and were between 30 to 45 years. So these are more or less very mature people, you know, whom you have to train, compared to the school where this is diverse. Some are very new. Some probably have been there for quite a time already. But this one is between 30 to 45 years old, and most had college degree in engineering or construction management. Okay, so you can see the difference there. So you know already what you were doing for the school, because in the school, what you were asked by the vice president for administration is to cover about improving personnel organization and the time management. And because this is in the school, no? Then improving communication among peers and between managers and subordinates, evaluating the present structure and work group. Okay, so the structure per se that we'll have to go over. And then the team building, improving performance, performance evaluation and control, then motivating employees and doing a better job of planning. Actually, all these things that are being indicated by the president or by the vice president for administration of a university are more or less similar that could be applied to the construction company for most of this. Okay? Only, what would be the difference? Just like what you said kanina, there's still management will be applied, but how will it be differed?
will differ, Dok, sa mga persons involved sa program.
That's it. Okay, involves a person, but you as Professor Cruz will be conducting the training. How will you show the difference there? How about Amalia? Can you?
Maybe the difference is the technical skills and the employability skills and the
So,
contact.
is there any problem about employability? You have been employed there for quite a time, and in fact, they are being trained in order to go up, no, to another ladder, preparing them for succession, di ba?
Yes.
So, more or less, they are there, and they are all men. Now, remember again, just like what I said in the past during my lectures, that management principles, management fundamentals, and all other theories, no, and all theories regarding management are the same. You are still using the same principles, theories, no, fundamentals, no, and concepts. These are the same, regardless of whatever, no, organization you would like to have this applied. What it differs only is in your approach. That's why it's very important that your approach in handling the training would be in accordance with the kind of audience that you are training. Now remember, in the school, lalaki, babae, and they differ also in their age, no? Their age range is quite diverse. And these are educators, and somehow some of them are probably good, no, managers already, and so on. Now the other one, these are all men. So, kung saan mo pag-approach sa all men na Professor Cruz, as Professor Cruz? And then, how do you make your training that it would have to be applicable to the kind of audience that you have, diba? Ang imong mga examples, ang imong mga pinanglan istorya, related also to the engineering, no, matters. Not about school matters. Pero kung dito ka nag-train sa school, you'll have to relate all activities related to school matters. But applying the theories, applying the principles, applying all those fundamentals and the concepts to that particular organization. That is where it differs. And that's why a consultant should be very knowledgeable, no? By knowledgeable about the organization, by seeing to it that before you conduct a training, you know the background of the organization first. That should be the first step, no? In which you are already given some basic information by the project manager and by the general manager about project managers training, no, for what is this about the construction, no? Because what the general manager would want is that he would like to have more or less a unique management, no, training, handling unique management problems, no, in the construction industry. So before you conduct any training for such a company, for such an industry, for such an organization, you should get more information first. I appreciate what you have done about SWOT, SWOT analysis, which is very important. Okay? And that is part of what we'll have to gather. What are the strengths of this organization? What are the opportunities of this organization? So that when you handle the training, you can pinpoint on these things. No? You can make use of this information while you are applying those fundamentals, those concepts, those theories, those principles, no, about management, no, about communication. Because what is asked in the school training is more or less the same to what is asked also for this project engineers development program. Sabi na, it includes time management. Now, much more in construction company. Wherein time management is very important because we have to see to it that the schedule is in accordance with the time. And also about communication so that they can relate one another, that everybody knows what happens down and going up. Okay? And also their structure, where are they supposed to be, working with? And then the work group, the team building, and so on. So these are similar. It's just a matter of how you will apply this after knowing the basic information of that organization. So katong SWOT na inyong gibuhat is very, very important for you. No? In fact, I was trying to see how you apply that in your plan of action. Kaya gibuhat ninyo sa areas of consideration. That's very nice. No? I appreciate that. You did a SWOT analysis. And others do not call it as SWOT, but rather TOES. They start first with the threats, and then the opportunities, weaknesses, and strengths. So they call it as TOES. Others call it as SWOT, where they start with strengths, and then the weaknesses. The strengths and weaknesses are those that are for the internal factors, those that could be seen internally. Now, what are the strengths internally, the weaknesses internally of an organization? While the opportunities and threats, these are the external factors. Now, having this kind of organization, what are those opportunities? And then, what threats can they probably be encountering in the process? So, since, like, for example, this one, construction company, during the pandemic, what do you think were the threats of the construction company? Especially for the workers. Kung daghan na sakit, or probably some of their projects will have to be uh, what suspended first, and probably also the funds of the government, if that project, this construction company is having some uh, agreement with the government projects. So do you think, considering that there are a lot of expenditures that the government had to shell out because of the pandemic time, and these are part of the so-called threats, no? These are external. And then there are also opportunities. Because, like for example, the project of the government under the 30s, the build. So of course there could be a lot of opportunities for more projects that are being in store for different engineering companies, construction companies, be it in road construction, bridge construction, mga, what is this, kanang, para sa mga drainage construction, no? And a lot of constructions for any, no? Like the widening of, it's not only the road that is existing, but the widening also, usa na, kanang bridge on top, di, kuan, kanang, usa na tawag nimo, uh, aron dili na mo tabok sa kalsada, but they have to go up to flyover and so on and so on. No? So there are a lot of constructions that are made, and in fact, most of the engineering companies this time are making good if they know and if they have better equipment, they have the facilities. They are not dependent on just borrowing or just renting, but rather they have their own. Okay, so that's one thing that you could make use in your SWOT analysis. So I appreciate you that particular thing. In fact, in your analysis, you should have been guided with these three questions. Can Professor Cruz kill two birds with one stone in their projects? Of course, because this is about management training. And training for management is more or less similar. It differs only in approach. And it, but as far as application of the different the theories, what as far as theories, principles, and so on, no, it just be the same. It's just a matter on how this will be applied to a particular, particular organization. Now, the second, is there a difference between managing a school and managing in other fields such as business, construction, manufacturing, and so on? So, as we said, there's no difference, but rather, again, this will require a skill on the part of the consultant. How the consultant can be relevant and responsive to the needs of that particular firm. Tingali, di-train nyo, nga dili para sa ilang organization, and it does not have any bearing at all. So that means something is wrong. Okay? Then what should Professor Cruz do? And this is where you'll have to make that plan of action. Nabuhat ka, line up sa program, unsay mo sulod dito. So there is the so-called the proposed training program supposed to be part of your. And then part of it is that you will have to discuss with Professor Cruz, and this is what you would like to happen with this particular training. Now remember, this is very important for anyone. So like you become educational administrators, and if you'd like to have some training, before you let someone do, you have to discuss first. Unsay di mahimong coverage, unsay gusto nimong mahitabo, and you should be the one, to show it. Now, I have been training a lot of groups. Depende sa klase, kasi classes ang what is this? Because I have been tapped by the UST, tapped by DTI, okay, tapped by CDA to train. The group of CDAs are different, no? And the UST lahi sad. Ang kuansad ka ng sa DTI, lahi ni sila. Although some DTI and CDAs somehow medyo sa mga co-ops parehas, no? Na ay kaparehas ng mga organizations. But you differ it, bisan pag ang training program ninyo parehas. But you see the kind of group, no? In that organization lahi, lain sa ang imong pag-approach. And that's what I did. Like, for example, I conducted the training of the LGU in one of, like in the Santa Cruz, because Santa Cruz was after, so ang ilang mayor, down to mga councilors, and different heads of offices. So, more or less, the theories, the principles are the same, even some of the activities, but I only, have it done that would fit to the kind of needs, to the needs that we like, so that they can get lesson and they would be able to apply it when they go back to their organization, to their usual task. So it's just a matter of how you'd be able to have it relevant. That would really help, the organization in their day-to-day improvement of the task and their performance. Now, so just like, for example, so aside from this outside, more in the schools, I was very, very, active with the DACs last time when I was still with Korea Soup, and I'm in the board. So I have been tapped by different schools to teach them, to handle some of their needs, like especially about their quality assurance. Not only private schools, even public schools also, especially for higher education. And especially also about rank and promotion, how to come up with a system that would help them somehow understand how faculty members will have to be ranked and how are they supposed to be evaluated and assessed and so on. So lahi sa na siya pang education. But when I went into the different other non-school programs, so I have to study also unsa man ang iyang kamaagi so that I can fit what I will teach that would be better for them to improve. Okay? So that's actually how we see it. So this question is something that is helping you understand. Dili mo mangita og usa ka tawo nga generalist lang, but someone who can fit to the kind, no, of need of that, no, of the organization. Kay okay, maayo siya generally, pero can he adjust to fit according to your organization? That's why for me, like for me, no, when I go to a particular, when I am asked to handle this, I ask first, kung pila man na sila katao, unsang klase na silang education, unsa man ang ilang kuan, philosophy behind, and so on and so on. So I need to get first information. Now, how are they funded? And how are they, no? And so on. So in terms of their organization, so ako pa nang pangayuon, I don't just go immediately to them and then conduct without knowing first. So that's very basic. So just like you, as is, diba, as teachers, before that we need to know, unsa ni sila. Good for general, okay lang. Pero we need to understand first the kind of students that we have, no? Kung unsang ilang nahuman, and these are just very basic, very, very light. But when you conduct training, you should be very careful that you understand the kind, no, of needs that we have and their background information so that you can makit mo sila tanan, makuha yun ni unsa ilang gusto, because that's very important. Okay, so these questions about consulting project, this particular case, is something that would open our eyes, something that would help us understand na kining atong nahibalan about the principles, no, the concepts of management is generally true to all. Okay? I remember last time during one of our CEAP. CEAP is Catholic Educational Association of the Philippines. One of our conferences, because annually we have CEAP conference, annual conference. Then one of the speakers was actually the Father Bernas of Ateneo de Manila. And then he was applying the general principles of how business, no, management would be doing. Because he finds that it's very applicable to education and institutions. So for us, kaming mga business graduates, we are MBA graduates, we have been doing it that way, no? Because we see the importance having good management, business management background. You can apply all these things to different organizations, but it's just a matter of how you will apply it. So it's the approach, it's the application that would really be a factor. Dili nimo generalize, but rather it should fit to that kind of organization. Okay? So, because what Father was talking was about environmental scanning. This is very, very important in any business organization. And he was trying to emphasize that the school will also look into this about environmental scanning. And in fact, this is the very basic for anyone who will go into an organizational improvement. No? And that's why this is now a fact, especially this time that we are having the so-called harmonization because of the Asian Qualification Reference Framework, the AQRF. It's something that we have to understand the situation, the environment. So there is the so-called environmental scanning that would affect educational institutions generally, okay, in the ASEAN regions. And especially our MC is now trying, no, for the next 5 years, trying to be, no, in the ASEAN region, not only in this Philippines nationally. So we would like to go beyond the Philippines. And this is the direction that we want to happen. Okay? So do you get something? Did you learn from that uh, class? Were you
Yes,
able
sir.
to?
There's a lot of learnings, Doc.
Thank you,
Mga
Doc, for additional.
brilliant ideas. Nakaingon jud mi kagabi ni Ma'am Jennifer Doc nga limuga pod ani oy pero kabalo jud ko nga nagay bright idea si Doc Kabintoy ani ba. It
Yes.
will enlighten
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, because it is through case analysis that we can make use of all the theories that we have gone through. No? Katang inyong mga gipang report, magamit yun kaayo to when we apply it to our cases. So that's why I hope that when you, because this is the last month of our classes, we will end until the last days, January 30, 29, 30, no? That would be the last days. That would be those 2 days for those who have Andy classes also. So 29, 30 will be the last days of our second semester classes. So that by February, we'll start already the second semester. Okay? So it is somehow my wish that you can learn something from our human behavior, and especially using our different principles on management, because you will understand better about human behavior if you understand management. Okay? So thank you so much, reporters. So katong SWOT ninyo mo ay makapagana na ako. Okay? So Amalia and Jimenez, you did a very good job. Thank you so much. So this time we will have the case 4, presentation of Lu, Escalona, and Mamburao. Mambura.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you,
One
Doc, for
second
the
while
additional.
I
Thank you so much.
share muna my screen. Makita na po?
Yes, ma'am. Nana, ma'am.
Okay, let's get already.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, classmates. We are Group 4 and we are here to present our case on the academic freedom of faculty members and the administration. I'll just read a brief background. The chair of the Department of English sat in his office deep in thought. He was preparing himself for the meeting of the college council at which he was going to discuss a problem that caused a lot of furor in his department. This was the case of Mr. Dimanlig, one of the younger faculty members who was being charged with incompetence and abuse of academic freedom by some faculty members of the same department, parents of his students, and a smattering of students themselves. So the academic freedom of the faculty members and the administration is the one being in question. The point of view. This is from the point of view of the chairman of the Department of English. So the statement of the problem is an English teacher in college, Mr. Dibandig, is accused of incompetence and abuse of academic freedom by some faculty members, parents, and students. Many people have raised a complaint against a certain teacher, Mr. Dibandig. Are there grounds to discipline or fire this teacher? So the objectives of our report is, number 1, to identify the complainants and complaints against Mr. Dimanlig and to see if there are grounds for action against Mr. Dimanlig, to listen to all sides of the argument before making any judgment and analyze the reliability and validity of the complaints against the accused. Lastly, if there are grounds, what are the appropriate actions required? So areas of consideration are points of view of the students, parents, and fellow faculty members, point of view of Mr. Dimanlig, who is the accused, his teaching strategy or approach, are the ones in questions. Then we have to consider the school rules, rules of dep ed, and of course the law as well. So for the first alternative course, my fellow group mate, Miss Charlita Mamburam, will read and discuss.
Thank you, Miss Maita. Good morning, Doc and classmates. So, I'm going to report to you the alternative number one. So, let it slide or ignore the problem. So, in the advantages of this is the heat will die down eventually. So, it means that if we're going to ignore that problem, of course, it will just pass. It will just pass. And number two, they avoid confrontation and the school gets to keep a teacher. So if in ignoring the problem, of course, they have to avoid confrontations or there are no confrontations at all. So there is no, the issues will be just kept and us to keep also the teacher. But the disadvantages of this, so if there is a problem, it will still be ongoing one. Nothing is be solved. Of course, if there is an issue or there is a problem, so if it is not if we don't mind that problem, so although it will just pass by, but again, the problem will not be solved. So later on or sooner or later, so it will also again exist that the same issues or problem. And the second disadvantages is the students, parents, and faculty who are against Mr. Demanley's style of teaching will be angry and might raise the issue to a higher authority. So, of course, so in any case, so for example, if there is a case of there is a parents complaining about the teacher and the administration is not doing something to the teacher or is not doing an action, of course, there are parents that who are especially the parents who are a lot of connections, so they're going to use that connections um, to send that issue or to inform or to for example in our in the deep ed, so if the school principal will ignore that problem, of course those parents or those complainants will go into the division's office and they will file a complaint against the teacher. So mas ano siya, parang mas complicated na siya kasi nandun na sa taas. Hindi man lang siya na-tackle, hindi man lang siya na na napag-usapan in the level lang sa school level lang or sa organization level. So that will be the disadvantage if the administration or the admin will just pass it through or just ignore that problem. So there's a tendency that the complainants will bring that issue or complaints to the higher ups. Next slide, please.
Thank you very much. Our next alternative course of action will be by Miss Escalona.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Doc. So, alternative course of action two is the creation of a probe committee against Mr. Demanley. See both sides of the argument. Talk to all relevant people involved. Advantages are one, due process will be served to Mr. Demanley. Second, ethical standards and professionals are being observed away from all means and malice. Disadvantages are one, the probe team will have a gap with Mr. Demanley. Second is the creation of gap, faction, and division among co-workers. Discussions will be discussed later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. For our third alternative course of action, I will be the one to read this. The third is that the chairman will give Mr. Demanlig a citation, ask him to follow the syllabus and that is put forth by the department, make sure there are measures to assess student learning. If he does not comply after the warning, there are grounds to discipline him by deloading him or asking him to resign. So the advantages to that is you're showing the faculty member that everybody is accountable for their action. You're also showing them that the department has teeth. So kung anong sinabi, gagawin. Number two is you are going to appease the complaining parents, students, and faculty members. The disadvantage, however, is you might lose a teacher, and if he is part of this department, we will assume that Mr. Demanlig has all the credibility that will make him reach this far, that he's been teaching for a while, even if he's young, and he has a master's degree in English. So you might lose Mr. Demanlig. And then, of course, the students who like his style, baka sila naman ang mag-complain. So that is the downside to this. Now, what we have chosen for our alternative course of action is decision number 2. So Ms. Escalona will expound on number 2. Ms. Escalona, are you there?
Yes, so we choose decision course of action number 2, the creation of a probe committee against Mr. Demanli. See both sides of the argument, talk to all relevant people involved. So Mr. Demanli might be a good teacher who expresses his academic freedom. However, with the multitude of complaints, the chairman cannot simply ignore the facts. The creation of a probe committee will satisfy both parties and will delve into the problem. Anyways, I will just add something on the academic freedom. So it refers to the right of a university to determine its educational mission free from governmental intervention. It also refers to the right of an individual professor to teach her or his curriculum without undue interference from the university officials. This is an individual academic freedom. Ms. Maita?
So these are the steps that we are going to be taking against Mr. Demanlig through the probe committee. So first, we will nominate or assign a third party as the probe team. This way it is unbiased and fair. Second, we talk to both sides of the equation. On one side, we have the students, parents, and the faculty, and then we note down their concern. Then on the other side, we have Mr. Demanlig, who states he has academic freedom as a faculty member, that he has the right to teach using his own style and freedom to select his own books and material. Third, when the probe team has taken into account both sides, they will report to the chairman all of the findings. Now it is up to the chairman of the English department, whose point of view this is, to escalate this or pass the judgment at this stage. If in the handbook, the school handbook, incidents like this must be reported to the head administration or president of the college, then he must do so. The handbook is also consulted on what are grounds and punishments for the said incident. Fifth, should Mr. Demanlig be found guilty, the appropriate punishment must be given. This must be in accordance to the handbook and the law. So all of this will actually depend on the rule book or the handbook of the school. Say if it says there na he is allowed to select his own material, he is allowed this much academic freedom, then Mr. Demanlig cannot be found guilty of anything that the other faculty members and parents and students are saying. But if parang he pushed the bounds too much, na it is already crossing the line, let's say, should it be in the handbook that says that they failed the assessment because Mr. Demanlig did not follow the syllabus, then there is grounds for that. And then it must also be stated in the handbook, of course, that what are the punishment. So if he simply did not follow the course syllabus, does that mean he has to resign? Or should it be medyo ano pa lang, warning 1, 2, 3? So these are some of the steps that we have come up with in our discussion as a group. So thank you very much for listening. We will now take questions.
Okay. So that's about academic freedom. Could you show back from the point of view and your statement the problem?
Wait lang po. Statement of problem.
From the point of view and statement the problem.
Yes po.
In the beginning.
This is from the point of view of the chairman of the Department of English.
Then your problem.
So the problem is an English teacher in college, Mr. Dimandig, is accused of incompetence and abuse of academic freedom by some faculty members, parents, and students. So many people have complained against the teacher. Are there grounds to discipline or fire the teacher?
Okay, so until there, so we can have the group now to ask questions. Now to the chair of the English department, which is the group. So Maita is the Shiradi and also Mamburam, no Sharita. So the three of them will answer your questions, and you ask, because remember, you are there in a meeting of the Department of English, no? So you are there for the college council. So you are at a meeting of the college council tackling this particular concern. So since you are members of that college council, so you can ask questions to the chair, no, of the English department. Okay, anybody who will start? Casimiro, do you have some questions? Being a member of the college council, based on the recommendation of the group having seen the problem to be such. The recommendation of, this is the recommendation of the chair of the English department. Okay, Casimiro, you have something to ask to the chair? Where are you, Casimiro?
Sorry ma'am, kumain ako.
Okay.
About the administration, what is the discipline, ma'am, to their teacher?
Sorry?
Mm.
What disciplinary action?
Yes, ma'am.
That will all depend on the handbook. So in the case 4, given problems in state 4, it actually does not state what is written in the handbook. So that is one thing that we can't outright state. Kumbaga, if we are in the boardroom and then the chairman of the department says, "O, sige, pwede ba natin siyang i-fire or i-disiplina, bigyan ng citation or i-suspend?" So the first thing we have to consult is the handbook of the school. What does the handbook say? Kasi if the handbook says na okay lang for the teachers to do this, then there's no grounds. Pero if the handbook says na there is grounds, it must also state what the appropriate punishment will be.
Okay, others? Any questions?
No, I have a question.
Okay.
This is for the chairman. Chairman ba yun?
Yes po, the chairman of the English department.
Yeah. What is the composition of your uh, tawag na parang grievance committee? Ganun.
The probe.
Yeah, the probe committee. What is the
So, the
composition? Ilan yung kailangang tao at from saan sila galing?
The
To make
probe
this,
committee can actually be one person lang, but he cannot be part of this department. The probe committee should be unbiased. Therefore, dapat hindi siya kilala ni Mr. Dimanlig, hindi siya kilala ng mga students. Therefore, it should be either from a different department or from a different school or a third party that the school will ask to come in to conduct the probe.
Now remember, this is a committee, so it should not be one person only. So it should be composed of more than one.
Pwede naman po as long as ano po siya, third party and not ano po, not part of or not somebody that Mr.
Chair
Dimanlig
of
knows.
that committee, so there is one chair of that committee, but he should have some members.
Yes po. Ang committee po will be the department of the English, pero the probe po is not part of the committee. Third party po sila. Hindi po sila dapat biased or at least hindi dapat wala silang allegiance to anybody because the council, the college council of English will have their own have their own biases kasi they are part of the school. They know Mr. Dimanlig, they know the students, they know the teachers. So hindi sila pwedeng part of the probe committee. So the probe committee talagang kailangan third party, hindi pwedeng part of the department. So after mabibigay po yung findings, let me just go back to that slide. They have to first they have to talk. The probe committee is assigned by the council, who is third party and no way biased. So they have to be fair. So hindi dapat sila kilala ng any of the sides. On one side we have the ones who are against Mr. Dimanlig, and the other side is Mr. Dimanlig and the ones who like him. So after the probe committee talks to both sides, they will then put their findings or put forth their findings to the council. Then after that, it is up to the council and the chairman to now pass the judgment na okay, ito ang findings ng probe committee. Na Mr. Dimanlig talagang did not use any of the books required by the Department of Education. He did not use the syllabus that the college approved. Then doon natin pwedeng as a council, doon lang natin siya pwedeng pag-usapan. Kasi actually the probe cannot pass judgment din because they are a third party. Wala silang alam. Ang ano lang nila is sasabihan lang sila ng council or ng chairman, okay, I want you to find out anong nangyari, ito ang situation, interview mo all parties involved, give me a report. Based on that report, then, as chairman of the English department, ko-consult na natin ang handbook. If the handbook says, okay, as English department chair, ikaw nang mag-judge sa kanya ngayon. Or kung napaka-grievous naman yung kanyang ginawa, na talagang i-escalate na niya to maybe the president of the college.
Okay, other question? The others? No other question? You know, when you don't have any question, that means you had not read the case. Because everybody is supposed to have read the case. And remember, this kind of case is common, especially in the higher education level. Okay, other questions?
Actually, Doc, may share lang po ako. Meron
Yes.
po medyo ganito happening right now sa amin. Which, hindi naman siya grounds for anything for us kasi because friend ko yung teacher. During my class, binibigyan ko ng supplementary yung mga students pertaining to the subject of the other teacher. Naawa lang ako to that other teacher because may sakit po kasi. So, medyo nadideviate siguro niya for an easier lesson plan other than the one prescribed by our department. So, hindi naman na-escalate ng ganito and wala naman pong nag-complain.
Okay. Wala naman nag-complain. But this particular case, so many are complaining, the parents and some students and even some faculty members.
According to the case po, always na lang daw sila nagde-demonstration and yung books daw na binibigay niya are books of Chairman Mao and Che Guevara and other communists.
Communists, no? With the communist side. Okay? Especially during the time of the Ra-Ra-Ra, with so many, no? So many students were actually activists, were being recruited to become activists, and because of that, so many students have deviated, no? And in their usual way of a usual purpose of why they are in school. Okay, so and there are some faculty members who are still doing that even at the present time, especially in the college level. And this particular course is about, what is the course that the Manlig was handling, where students and parents were complaining about? This is about what? What is the course?
English.
Yeah, what particular in English? What particular course in English? This is about,
Hindi man siya naka-state. Expository writing po.
okay, it is about expository writing. So with that particular case, particular course that the Mandirig was handling, so the term alone, expository writing, is something that would require students to be exposed to some events. Okay? And not only about communism, communist activities, but it could be expository to a lot, no, and varied situations, exposed to situations which could be of good purpose or bad purpose, and will have good intention of coming up with betterment in the society, diba? So that's why they have the so-called expository writing. Now, how does what is this? Demand lead. How did demand lead handle the class? What did he do?
He says he has academic freedom daw.
Oh, what did he mean by academic freedom as far as demand lead is concerned?
Miss Escalona will explain that.
Yeah, Escalona?
Okay, I guess, Doc, he just practices his freedom, Doc. His own way of teaching.
Go further. Freedom. What do you mean by freedom in teaching the course on expository writing?
Maybe, Doc, he has the freedom, Doc, to teach his own ways, his own strategies. He can apply any theories that he might think that it is necessary for the subject mentioned. But I may assume that some of the students complain that Mr. Demanding maybe crosses the boundaries, Doc. And it is good to note also, Doc, that in freedom, there is no absolute ano naman talaga, Doc. So, hanggang wala pa namang presented na mga concrete evidences from the proof, we cannot give the judgment to Mr. Demandley.
Now, talking about freedom, because this is about academic freedom, which demanded was trying to use, no, to give him, yeah, Miss Mamburam,
I would like to just add, Doc. So when we say academic freedom, so yeah, we have a professor. So they have their academic freedom, but then there is a syllabus wherein the school is wherein the professor should follow. So we can the professor can teach in any way they can, what style they want to use. But again, it is not out of the syllabus. So they were going to maybe contextualize, but not going out of the syllabus. So that there will be no complaints at all. So we have to stick on the syllabus wherein usually, di ba, meron mo talaga tayong amin, curriculum. So, nagbe-base talaga kami sa curriculum. So we can teach that particular topic or lesson so in the way that we can, of course, we have to consider the learners that we have, the students, or the background of the students. So of course, mag-depend yung how we are going to teach. So, but again, mag-stick lang talaga tayo, hindi tayo lalabas sa syllabus. So, yun dapat hindi ma-overuse yung academic freedom. Because in the case 4, so Mr. Dimanlig was maybe he is teaching because of his academic freedom. So maybe he was overused that one, parang naano lang, parang na literal niya na lang na okay, I can teach whatever I want. So yun na lang yung parang naano niya. So that's why there is a complaint against me.
okay? Do you have some more to be clarified, Ms. Ramos? Sherry? Ramos?
Good morning po, Doc. Regarding po sa academic freedom po, so sinabi nila, Teacher Maita, wala pong question clear. Kasi when we say, yung sinasabi nila, when we say academic freedom, yung the individual or the specific Mr. Demanding has the right to have this to put in his curriculum without interference of the university or any but since as one community i-reconsider din sana ni Mr. Dimandig yung syllabus na given ng kanilang university or yung school nila po. No?
What do you think is the reason why parents and some students and even faculty members were complaining when you talk about academic freedom? When Mr. Dimanlig was actually exercising his academic freedom. What do you think is the reason? What makes it a concern for the school, for the parents?
For the parents po, most of the parents are saying na radicalized na daw yung kanilang anak and wala na daw silang ginagawa kundi mag-demonstration. So, I guess for the faculty, nawawala sila from the classroom. The kids are nandoon nagde-demo instead of nagka-classroom. And perhaps, pagdating ng exam day, hindi sila makapass ng assessments nila because walang exam or baka wala rin silang final paper na inassign ni Mr. Dimanlig.
Okay? So that's the point, at least on the part of the parents and then the faculty. How about for some students?
Sa the part of the students, happy sila na medyo relaxed ang teaching ni Mr. Dimanlig.
Yeah, but there are some who were not in favor of the way Dimanlig did.
Perhaps ma'am, yung mga really concerned about their grades because hindi sila nakakapasa ng assessments nila, wala silang exam, wala silang it might bring down their overall grade, and that's the reason why they're also angry because kung they're vying for maging cum laude or something, paano yung kanilang grade because Mr. Dimanlig doesn't make them do anything but go to demonstration. Kawawa naman sila.
Yeah. Now all these things actually, as you said, as you had shared, these are the clear information about why the Manlig is made as the very basic concern of the English department, the Department of English, especially the chair. And you notice in the first paragraph alone, it was already stated there that the chair or the chairman of the Department of English was actually preparing, and he has his in deep thought, no? He was preparing for the meeting of the college council. That means he has already taken a lot of information, and he has made some sort of approve, no? Prove, fine, approving what really is happening to this. That means he had gotten all the information already coming from different sectors, from the parents, from some other students, from students who are there, and especially from the faculty members who are in that particular department. So that means all this information already with him. Okay? So he knows everything is already with him. So that means he had gathered already something before that particular meeting, because a meeting could be very well uh, done, and there could be substantial, say, information, could be a very good basis for the discussion to come up with an action. Okay? So with this information alone in the first paragraph, it's already very clear that there had been some proving way of getting information. No? So, in fact, it was stated there as he was going to discuss a problem that caused a lot of furor in his department. So, he's now very much concerned with that. So, that means he gathered already this information, and he made just probably what you call as the proof committee, because he has already all this information. What will the proof committee do when he had, no? He probably had gotten that already. That's why he was ready to get into that meeting, because this has caused a lot, no, of furor in his department. And this is about the case of Mr. Dimanlig, one of the younger faculty members, and who was being charged. So there is already that particular, no, chaos that has been created with the incompetence. Why incompetence? What do you think is the reason why there is such a thing as incompetence and abuse of academic freedom? Anyone who can discuss on this? What is the point that made him incompetent?
Doc, can I answer?
Yes.
When we say incompetence, Doc, in terms of Mr. Tilig's, ano yung ginawa niya, Mr. Dimantig, for that, naging abusive na siya sa kanyang academic freedom, because we all know, teacher as we are, we need to consider the different learning styles of our students. We need to adjust for those students na more on demonstration. That's good for them, kaya naging happy sila. Pero meron din tayong mga students na they are learning, they are good in writing, they are not good in performing or any other. So teacher, we need to be flexible to adapt, to adjust to our students' learning style for us to be competent enough to address their needs. So yan yung kulang kay Dr. Dimani. Although okay lang yung magkaroon tayo ng academic freedom. And then also, as one community, we need to align to our university, saan tayo nagtatrabaho. We need to consider also that one. And the most important is yung needs ng students natin, kasi sila yung nagiging audience, sila yung nagiging ano natin, what we call this one? Receiver, kung ano yung dapat natin kinakailangan ibigay sa kanila. So, kinakailangan yung teaching style natin, i-consider natin yung students natin.
Okay.
Yun.
Okay. How about Bahadur? Why do you say that there is such a thing as abuse of academic freedom? being charged to Mr. Manli by especially this group, no, of faculty members in the department. Tahado?
Yes, Doc. I could say, Doc, na there is an abuse of academic freedom um, because the students were not able to learn from him. And the students are asking for guidance. So they wanted that Dr. Dimanlig na instead of letting them do whatever they wanted, he should have given them guidance.
Okay, so that's why there is that abuse of academic freedom. In fact, these are the two counts that were being charged of him. Incompetence, having not gone through and probably followed the syllabus, and the students were not able to learn what they're supposed to learn, and also abuse of academic freedom. Again, it goes back again to the how syllabus is being utilized for the learning of the students because he was invoking himself of academic freedom. Now remember when you talk about academic freedom, the freedom there has the so-called corresponding responsibility. It does not mean that freedom is free. You do not have any responsibility at all. There should be, no? There is always a corresponding responsibility for any freedom, especially for academic freedom. Because the students that you are teaching are not only taking the course under you, under the Manli. The students are also taking some courses in other under other faculty members. So what will happen to the courses they are handling when the time that is, for example, the time is only 9 to 10 or 9 to 10:30 if it is 1.5 hours or if it is 1 hour, that depends on whether it is MWF or TTH. Now, what will happen to the other courses where the students are enrolled when they are there on streets, joining the rah-rah-rah, no? Joining the different activities that would lead them to become communists, no? In some ways.
Pauwiin sila, Doc, kasi kasi COVID ngayon, bawal
Yeah,
mag-demonstrate.
bawal ngayon, no? But during this time, when there was no COVID yet, no? So, sinahitabo. So, of course, it created a lot of problems. That's why there is that abuse of academic freedom, because he did not look also at the side of the students. That the students have other courses to be, who are under other teachers. So, kung 9 to 10 lang na, for example, ang ilang klase, but they are there on streets the whole day, what will happen to their other courses? Left behind. Okay? So, that's why it has created chaos to faculty members because during checking attendance, asa ni si Mr. A, si Mr. B, ma'am, tuwa dito sa strike, tuwa dito sa nagrarara, and so on. Okay?
It could also po, Doc, to point out lang, it could also mean a safety concern. Kasi di ba the moment the student passes the gate of the school, karga yan ng school eh. So if anything were to happen to them because Mr. Dimanlig assigned them to go to the rally, baka hindi niya mabantayan, something happened, pinaputukan sila doon. Kargo ngayon ng school. Yan, because Mr. Dimanlig is under them.
That's a very good point. And that is the one that I was trying to get in. Okay? Because talking about academic freedom would also, as again, going back to the responsibility. So if you let students get out of the campus during class hours, there is such a thing as parents' consent. That you allow the student to get out of the campus for such an activity for such a particular day. So if there is no permit, so ma-charge din na si si Dimanlig for not having followed what is supposed to be done. Because even during the time, no, before pandemic and during beforehand, no, long time ago, nobody can just get out. No, no student can just get out, and no faculty members can just bring any students out for outside activity without proper permit and without proper consent from the parents. So, mo ni siya nahitabo. Okay? So, from the handbook alone, from the administrative handbook, from the student's handbook, no, and even faculty handbook, it is very clear what academic freedom will be. So, abuse of academic freedom. So, from there alone, klaro naka-etik kung saan nahitabo kang no, Mr. Demanding. He's actually having an abuse of academic freedom. He is incompetent because what will happen also to his other classes? Because he's not only handling expository writing class, he has also other classes. When he is there outside for the ra-ra-ra, is he also letting other classes which is not expository writing join? Was he also requiring students to join a particular rally for the ra-ra-ra? So these are things that are not no, really in accordance with the rules, the guidelines, no, and the policy of any school for that matter. So that's the point there, no? Because the school has a guideline, the school has rules and has policies, and he is not following such. Diba? So that's why when you talk about academic freedom, there is always a corresponding responsibility. So since the assumption here is that before the chair sat down or before the chair went through that college council, he has already gathered everything. And probably the one that you were trying to mean as the full committee has already gotten something from that full committee. That's why it is something that is very, it is from this gathering of this data that he was prepared to sit down with the college council to make a stand on what to do with Mr. Timandli. Now, remember when you will be assigned to analyze a case, do not go back. No, do not go back by doing something na musugod pa. We are assuming here that everything has been there already, has been done already. That's why you come up with a final move. So instead of going back like creating, no, in fact, it's not a creation of, but rather, as I said, it should be an active form. Create a group committee, no? So you do not need to create a group committee anymore because as if you're starting again, no? Being a chair of that department, you should have done this before sitting with the college council because the college council is already somehow the higher body for the whole academic community. So that means that college council will not be asking to have that group committee anymore, but rather it is assumed that before sitting down, the chair of the English department had made some gathering of this data that he can really use it for what action he can make it for this particular case of demand leave. Now, assuming that it is such, completed now with all the discussions that we have, what do you think is the best course of action for demand leave? He has abuse of academic freedom, incompetence, mga bata, kayo natunan, especially the one that you were talking about na what will happen to those students who would like to become cum laude, mania, or summa, and then they are affected because of this kind of requirement of demand leave, just for the expository writing course. And this is only one of the courses of all the courses taken by the students under him. So, what do you think would be the best course of action for the college council to, no, to take based on the recommendation of the chair of the English department?
Pwede naman po siya bigyan ng citation, ma'am.
Ah,
Pwede naman po siya bigyan ng citation and then may ultimatum na kapag ginawa niya yun ulit, hindi niya gi-follow ang syllabus, hindi siya nagbigay ng parent consent form, that is grounds for firing Mr.
so
Dimanli.
one possible action is reprimanding. Okay, reprimand Mr. Demandly with all those cited things, no, actions that he has to do. Otherwise, within such a particular time, that there is a time frame there that within this time, this thing should be handled by him, should be done by him. Okay, so there is that so-called. So then the term there is that you still retain, okay, Mr. Demandli, okay, retain Mr. Demandli as English teacher with the following. Okay, so that means he will not be taken out of that department, but he will be given some, as you said, citations as to what that the negative citations, no? Because normally we use the term citation of such a thing, no? Because normally in our handbook, in all of the handbooks, there is that so-called the first offense, whether it is grave or if it is light. There is also the second offense. There is the third offense. So, where does demand leave fall? Is it first, second, third? Based on the gravity of that particular one and a situation, particular case, and that is where this college council would be able to come out, no? So that's why, okay, that could be a good point there, no? So kung the first offense siya, because even if there is no thing, nothing is is included here about what the handbook says, but generally there is the manual of regulations or the MORPE, manual of regulations for higher education, general in nature, that indicates of any violation to such, no, especially talking about academic freedom. So that means we can invoke on that already, we can use that already as the basis of any action. So that's why one of your references will be the MORPE, no? Manual of Regulations for Higher Education, for Philippine Higher Education. So we call that as MORPE, wherein there are provisions there regarding this particular, no, cases, about this case. Okay? So, you notice, academic freedom does not mean bisan unsay gusto sa faculty. No. There is academic freedom in terms of what you integrate in what you would like students to know beyond what is there in the syllabus. But the syllabus as the basic, the guide should not be left behind, but rather it should be considered as the basic guide. But you can integrate more and more to be relevant to the current situation. So dili na sa dito na sa gutom. Because the syllabus is a general guide, but that should not be taken out of the picture. And the very purpose is to give more learnings to students. So academic freedom is not unsay gusto lang sa teacher. No, academic freedom is the responsibility that the teacher can deliver the best learning to the students. So when we say responsibility, you can add more. Current, no, situation, current happenings, especially that every now and then there are new things that are coming in relevant to the topics or as relation to the topics that particular subject matter, no, of that particular subject matter. So dili lang kay one ra sa dituto, two ra sa dituto. No, you can add more. And that is part of the academic freedom. Because you have that responsibility about adding learnings to the students to make it relevant and responsive to the current situation. Di lang kay unsa lang kaniadto maura but you are relating it to the current situation. Okay? So so Maita, you have something to add?
Um, Not about this na, ma'am. Okay na tayo. May question
Yeah.
lang ako, Doc, before I forget. Yung sa
Yes.
contextualized research paper, meron kayong sample or template?
Yeah, I have the template there in your what is this? In
Okay,
your
sige po, hanapin ko. Hindi ko siguro
okay, the
nakita, Doc.
template is there. As to what is the first part, no, the introduction, the second part is about the objectives, the third, the method, the thing. So it is there as to what and how you do it. So go back to your course package. The template is actually indicated for each of the modules. No? For each of the modules, starting module 3, the template is already indicated. Because if your topic is in the module 3, that's why I indicated already the template about contextualized research. No? So that if you are just reading your uh, module 3, at least you have already the idea what contextualized research is regarding that particular topic you are presenting in the topic 3, okay, or the module 3. And then in the module 4, I placed there also until module 7, because the module 8 is already about case analysis, which is this one, and then the module 9 is already the contextualized research presentation. Okay,
Thank
so
you,
you can
Doc.
go back to your modules. Okay, now the contextualized research presentation is based on the topic. Like for example, if you're talking about communication, okay, if your assignment was about communication, now look in the area because we have difficulty. That's why it is contextualized because we have difficulty of gathering data or getting information or maybe somehow um, what is this? The getting people, no, your respondents or maybe your uh, for your focus group discussion, mga participants, if ever, depende sa kind sa imong gustong i-report, whether it is qualitative or quantitative. Now, what is there, what contextualized is just within the context of the area where you are in. Because you are very knowledgeable already, the area or the school where you are teaching or the company or the organization where you are no, employed. So kasabot ka na daan unsa to dito. So if the topic you were reporting last time was about communication, look into communication concerns in your organization. Okay? Based on the structure, how was this being observed as far as communication is concerned? Or probably, remember, there are a lot of areas that you can talk about communication. It could be communication when it comes to the, when it comes to people, who are within that organization, among them, that they probably would not be understood or they don't understand each other. Or maybe communication related to how we interpret some of the memoranda or some orders, some information coming from the top management or from the middle management. These are still communication. So some of you had probably so good that I'm reminded, no? Some of you have presented a contextualized research report, which is topic, which is being indicated there as a contextualized research report, but it is a topic that is just putting into contextualized research presentation form pero it was just a topic that you had presented. Di mo lang ipang butang-butang, no? Like introductions, ano ba introduction sa imong topic na present last time. And then, you have stated the problem. So, pick up lang sa statement dito, buhat din mong statement of the problem. Which is not the one. It should be contextualized within the context of the area that is happening, that you observe, that you know about, no? That you are concerned about or you are aware of in your organization. So like for example, about motivation. That is one of the topics also about motivation. So you can look into your organization, what are the motivating, no, activities that led to this group of people or to your department or to you probably or to some, no, among you na nakamotivate to work so much that beyond, no, your duties and so on. So probably that way, no? Or maybe motivation about why most of your teachers are getting or following or enrolling in master's degree. What motivated them to get into such? And that's part of motivation. So you can probably have a sort of a qualitative presentation that you can ask them as to what motivates them, you know, to get into that. And probably it's something about income, something about security in the job, something about what future, whatever is that. Okay, so that depends on how you ask the questions. So it's just a simple one that I expect from you, but it has consistency in the presentation, starting from the beginning, no? From the introduction, from your title, introduction, the statement of the problem, your method, and then your discussion, okay, and then the implications to educational management. Okay, that's the one that will have to be presented in your contextualized research report. And I had discussed this with you at the start already so that you have an idea what to do. No? However, for those who missed and who forgot, that this is just a repetition or what is this? Uh, Reminding that this is how we need it. Because I discussed everything at the start naman, di ba? Pero usahay, if not everything has been absorbed because you are probably overwhelmed by a lot of requirements and a lot of activities. So this is it. No? So I was just actually waiting for some questions from some inquiry in the process about contextualized research report. Kaaway ng utana, that means kasabot na sila. You understood it already last time when I talked about it at the start, because the first meeting that we have is more about giving you the whole thing on what we expect for the whole semester of this course, on what you'll be doing for the whole semester of this course, and what you are expected to come out for the whole semester of this course. So everything was there during the first meeting. So for those who missed to start, no, to be at the first meeting, then probably you miss also some of this information. So because I expect that some miss it, so I expect also that there would be some clarifications, some sort of inquiry, no? Unsaon maning kuan contextualized research report. So since nobody asked, it's except now, so you probably have, so in my mind is that you probably have gone over each of the modules that you're able to see how contextualized research presentation will have to be done. Okay? So klaro na? So Maita, is that really clear for you?
Thanks, Doc.
Okay, sige. So this time, we now have to go to the third case, now the fifth case, the third presentation, no, of the case to be presented by Charis Ramos Bajado, Charis lang yapon, Trilelis, and also Quinco. Quinco is added just this morning. Okay, sige. We can start now.
Saglit lang po, Doc. Mag-share lang ko ng screen.
Sige lang mag-share. Manghisag ko. Ayun. Okay, Dr. Archimedes Robles. You can start now. Who will be the first one to present? Cheriza or Sherry?
Yes po, Doc.
Okay.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Doc. Good morning again, classmates. So we were assigned to report the case analysis 5, Dr. Archimedes Robles. Okay, next slide po. But first, I have to read muna the case of Dr. Archimedes Robles.
Yes,
Dr. Archimedes Robles, yes, Doc, has been serving a large staff educational institution for the last 20 years in various capacities, from faculty member to rank of academic vice president, a position which he has occupied for the last 10 years. During the 10th year of his service as academic vice president, the university was faced with the problem of the demand from the faculty of salary adjustments, which have been scaled since 2012. The negotiations amongst the Board of Trustees, the President of the University, and the faculty has been going on for several weeks. However, they have not arrived at a desirable solution. The Faculty Association decided that the only way to be able to get their salary adjustment is to go on a mass leave of absence. As expected, the students sympathized with the faculty members and their demands for higher faculty salaries. During their mass leave, the Faculty Association requested the academic vice president to talk with the members of the faculty. He informed the faculty members that he is sympathetic to their demands, and at this juncture, one faculty member asked the vice president in what form will his sympathy be reflected. He said that as academic vice president, he is responsible for keeping the morale of the faculty members high. And one way of achieving this is to fight on behalf of the faculty members against the administration for their salary adjustments. The faculty applauded him, and for his support of their demands, the members of the Faculty Association unanimously empowered him to negotiate with the president of the university and the board of trustees. As a result of this power vested in him, the academic vice president had a series of talks with the president and the members of the board of trustees. He argued that an adjustment of the faculty salary scale is in order because it has remained at a standstill since 2012.
However, the administration felt that since most of the faculty members have outside jobs and are reporting on a part-time basis, such arguments do not hold true, for their salaries in the industrial sector have been correspondingly upgraded. The academic vice president reported that the university has a tremendous accumulated surplus to be able to finance this increase in salary. If the demands of the faculty are not met, he may be forced to release this information to the public. The threat of the academic vice president spurred the president and the members of the Board of Trustees to arrive at some compromise in accordance with the format suggested by the administration. However, faculty members with a 3 years service with the university were given the maximum increase, thus increasing substantially the financial burden of the university. On the other hand, the president and the board of trustees were of the opinion that the academic vice president should have not acted that way, for he should be siding with the administration. In view of this, the president felt the urgency to watch closely the actuations of the academic vice president. The latter recommended that they should hire a vice president for research and development. This suggestion was accepted by the Board of Trustees and the president of the university. The decision of the Board of Trustees to hire an additional vice president coincided with the resignation of a highly qualified person, probably just as eminent as the president of the university. The new vice president for research and development was then made to take charge of the research function of the faculty. Also, the task of physical and academic planning of the university was entrusted to him. As time went by, the academic vice president had lesser power and authority than he used to have. Having suspected that it was a deliberate scheme of divesting him of his power, he tendered his resignation.
For our point of view, thank you so much for that, Ma'am Bahado. For our point of view, Dr. Archimedes Robles, the academic vice president, and for our statement of the problem, the faculty association goes on a mass leave with the students' sympathy strike to impose even more demands for salary adjustment, which has not been increased since 2012. As the academic vice president, Dr. Archimedes Robles tried along with the faculty association to reflect his sympathy towards them and their demands, goes on negotiation with the president of the university and the board of trustees. However, his endeavors were perceived negatively by the president of the board of trustees, eventually leading Dr. Archimedes Robles to resign from his position. This implies that he needs to properly clear his name of the university president and the board of trustees implicit negative perception of his action. And for our objectives, write a letter for the university president and the board of trustees explaining in detail the reason for his decision in handling the faculty association demands and its implication. Second, devise a detailed report for the progress of the salary adjustment has brought in terms of faculty productivity, student satisfaction of the faculty services, and the faculty association's significant contribution to the overall development of the university. Ma'am Bahado for the areas of consideration.
Yes, ma'am. For the areas of consideration, first, the credibility of the letter and its content. Second, the university president and the board of trustees' attitude towards the said report. Okay, next slide. Alternative courses of action. The first alternative is gather the faculty association members' signatures as a support for the credibility of the letter. What are the advantages? First, the letter may be given more authoritative attention and response. And second, the university president and the board of trustees will be enlightened by the former academic vice president's progressive endeavors and give time for deliberate responses. Now, these are the disadvantages. Not all the faculty members may be willing to support Dr. Archimedes Robles' aim. And second, the university may perceive this action negatively even more. Okay, the second alternative course of action is that you will devise a comprehensive report with proper documentation and reliable information. The advantage is that the university president and the board of trustees will be presented with everything they need to know in line with the salary adjustment the former academic vice president has negotiated. Second, this comprehensive report may lead to devising more adjustments for the betterment of the university. And these are the disadvantages. First, the university president and the board of trustees may not pay much attention with the report not made by the one originally designated to do so. And second, the report may not be trusted in terms of its credibility. Now, for the session, we will give this opportunity to Ma'am Kinko, number 6 and 7. Ma'am Rina.
Okay, good morning, Doc. Good morning, classmates. So for the decision is the alternative course of action number 1, which is uh, send letters to the university president, board of trustees, and the administration entailing the detailed report of the progress that the salary adjustment has taught in terms of faculty productivity, student satisfaction of the faculty services, and the faculty association significant contribution in the overall development of the university. So the plan of action of the decision is first craft a letter of the detailed explanation of the action taken during the settling of the faculty strike supported by the majority, if not all, of the faculty members' signatures. In this sense, Dr. Archimedes Robles may leave the position dignified and respected. The second one is conduct an unbiased research for the comprehensive report that shall include every detail and events that transpire from the day of the salary adjustment have been granted. With this, the university will be reminded of Dr. Archimedes Robles' endeavors that brought progress and development.
That would be all, Doc, and thank you for our report.
Okay, could you please sit back to the start?
Po, Doc.
First one, your point of view. Okay. Okay, can you now ask as an outsider about this particular case to Dr. Archimedes Robles, as the point of view? He is the Vice President for Academic Affairs. Anyone who can ask questions? Make yourself as an outsider. And the way the group analyzed, Dr. Archimedes Robles analyzed the case, or takes his position in this case. Anybody who can start?
In the side of, yeah, he wants to clean his name, parang ganun yung ano yung objective nila sa kanilang ano. So what I was thinking, para saan? He already left the ano, di ba? The school. So why kailangan pa niyang mag-explain sa kanila na the reason why umalis siya. So yun lang po yung ano, yung question ko sa sila din sa objective nila.
Okay, very good question. Okay, what's the answer of the group? You are Dr. Archimedes Robles. What's your answer to the question of Mrs. Tia?
Doc, with the point of view of Doc Archimedes, Doc, para po kasi siyang pinagkaisahan po ganin ng Board of Trustees. Para ganun yung na-feel niya ba. That is why we agreed na parang he has to clear his name that he had done that, the issue with the salary adjustment. It's because he has sided with the faculty association and he has to clear his name para uh, mag-retire siya parang ang pangit naman parang ang history niya ang pangit na nag-retire siya dahil parang yung power niya is lesser because of the incident that had happened recently.
But there is the question of Tia that what for when he has resigned already? Anything that could be added, dramas?
Just also for this one, Doc, our objective write a letter of the university president. For this one, the reason why Dr. Archimedes needed to write the letter kasi kini-question siya ng mga ng president and board of trustees bakit siya nag-sided sa mga faculty association which is they what call this one? Which is an nasa higher, yes po, nasa higher admin po siya to. So, therefore, they need, the president, vice president, the board of trustees, they have the same decision on about the salary adjustment of the faculty association po daw.
Okay. So anyway, I can elaborate on that later on. The other question about Escalona, do you have something to add? To ask some questions regarding how the group has handled this particular case of Dr. Archimedes Robles. And their point of view is Dr. Archimedes Robles.
Yes, Doc. My question only, Doc, is do you think that it is just and right that the teachers asking for salary adjustment, and what are the basis of that?
Okay, what's your answer?
Yes po, Doc, it is just and right po na they are given the salary adjustment since it was stated on the case that it has been a standstill since 2012. So they have the right naman siguro to their salary to be upgraded po.
Okay. There's something that you can add, Ramos? Janice?
And so far, same lang din yung Doc, kasi teachers are even if we're teachers as we are, so sa school namin every year nag-adjust yung yung taas yung salary ng school. So for this one, since 2012 pa hindi so there that's a good reason for them to request for salary adjustment for this one, Doc.
Okay. How about
In
Mamburang?
addition po, Doc,
Some more question? Yes, Bahadur, you have to add?
in addition po, Doc, personally, Doc, if we have salary adjustments, parang we have the motivation, Doc, ba to perform well with our job. Yan po, Doc.
Can I add, Doc?
Yes, Manto.
Yes, Doc. It is, as a teacher, we have the right to ask salary increase since dito sa province to 2012 pa yung adjusted ang kanilang salary. So as a teacher, so we have the right na to ask permission na mag-adjust yung salary natin Kasi naman, marami ding, bayarin kailangan sa school na pwede natin ibigay po, Doc.
Okay? This is normally uh, na situation or one matter that put the school into chaos situation when the salary matter is being discussed, no? Is being the concern. Okay? Other more. How about Jimenez? You have something to ask? Jimenez?
No. So far, Doc, wala pa, Doc.
Hola. How about Maita? Maita, I think, would have some questions because this is about.
Not naman question, Doc. Comment lang.
Okay.
I understand the side of the administration because I am a business person din. So for them, kasi di ba now that they will be increasing the full-time members, yung mga 3 years and up, maximum increase sila. Now the burden falls on the administration financially. So now, may question na ngayon na for the faculties na saan kukunin tong perang to? If medyo strained sila, does that mean they don't have enough student to cover the cost of the teachers? Or are they being top-heavy? Masyadong mataas ang sweldo ng mga admins na hindi nasasweldohang mabuti ang mga teachers. So those are some things na I just found in the document given.
Okay. Any reaction to that, reporters? Ramos and Tajado, and also Quinco.
She has a point naman po, Doc.
Okay. So, you notice this case is actually, diba, on the top management. This is about the case of Dr. Archimedes Robles. And he is the academic vice president. He's there on top. And in fact, he's handling top position. Okay? And then, what happens is that with all the things that the school is encountering, no, that the school encountered during the time, nagpahumot sa sikuan, di ba? Si Academic Vice President Dr. Archimedes Robles to the faculty by telling them that he is more for the side of the faculty. In fact, what he indicated here is that in the case, no, iyang gibutang diri nga, he said that he's responsible for keeping the morale of the faculty members high, which is very true, no? He's secret because he is the academic vice president. And one way of achieving this is to fight on behalf of the faculty members against the administration for their salary adjustment. How do you see this particular statement? This statement, he's responsible for keeping the morale of the faculty. This is very good. But how about the next statement? And one way of achieving this is to fight on behalf of the faculty members against the administration for their salary adjustment. In which, after saying this, actually he was applauded. No, he got a good applause from faculty members because of this statement. If you were on the administration, what is your assessment on this particular statement of Dr. Archimedes Robles? Anyone?
Hi, Doc. I think for the faculty members, the not the administration side, sila din, because of that statement, sila din ang nag-empower kay Dr. Robles to be on the side of the faculty for them to take away his powers, so to speak. Medyo, counterproductive. Because they're the ones who empowered him in the first place to appease the faculty. And one way to appease the faculty is to fight for their salary increase.
Okay. Other ideas from the others? Something that, remember, you're exercising yourself this time to be good education administrators. And you're confronted with this particular case. How do you see this? What is your assessment on this statement of Dr. Archimedes Robles?
Doc, for me,
Yes.
if kung mangyari man yan, Doc, na somebody from the higher, ano position na, di ba, Vice President po siya, would side with the faculty. I think, Doc, I have to, kung ako yung ako yung president, or member of the board, I would think that this person must have a sympathy talaga sa kanyang mga kasamahan. And because of that, we have to consider, and I think Doc, yung decision na parang ano yung power niya, yung parang binawasan, parang diniligate yung ibang mga functions niya sa another, kasi kumuha sila ng another vice president it only shows na parang ayun, wala na nga silang tiwala sa sa kay Vice President Robles. So I think from the admin side, parang hindi rin po ako agree. If ever one of the board of directors, I would not really agree na ganun ang gagawin. Kasi parang pina-fight lang naman ni Dr. Robles kung ano yung sa mga teachers na side. And I think parang na-boost na yung moral ng mga teachers. So how about yung isang tao na kanilang sinacrifice, di ba? Parang siya naman yung nawala ng yung moral niya. He was representing the teachers and then tinanggalan siya ng parang power. So how about him? Yung mental health ng tao, yung kanyang mismong sa kanyang sarili, parang nawala na rin. So he would think that he was ineffective. Naging sacrificial lang, na parang gano'n yung nangyari sa kanya. So if I were one of the board of directors to DOC, I think I would disagree na bawasan yung power ni Doc Robles.
Okay. A very good observation. How about the others? What other observation? Yes.
Doc, I agree with Ma'am Miss Ben. Kasi Doc, Dr. Archimedes just helping the teacher. Siyempre, siya yung vice president, so parang siya yung mas malapit sa president. But again, siya pa yung parang parang kinalaban tuloy ng president. But again, he's just doing things that the president should do. So since it speaks about the teachers, so generally, pag yan lahat ng teachers nag-alisan, dyan siya yung i-manage niya kung wala na rin mga teachers. So in that long years, of course, the teachers should be paid off. Their hard work should be paid off. So kahit sino naman siguro sa ganyang tagal, magana talaga dyan interest. So, but again, so in the private institutions, so as far as I know, so it depends on their enrollees. But again, in that long, I think, hindi naman siguro ganun talaga katagal. Ganun lang talaga yung maliit lang yung enrollees na hindi makapag-adjust ng salary as teachers. So, I think it's parang hindi siya reasonable talaga. So, that is the good, the best thing that Doc Archimedes is doing. Parang yun yung, at least may magagawa siya for the teachers. So, I guess, ang problem talaga is nasa president. So, dapat yung talaga yung pagtutukan, yung tama yung ano niya, Doc, ni Archimedes na pag hindi walang mangyari, so doon yun na talaga yan sa higher ups.
Okay, thank you for your sharing. Now, how about I would like to ask the the reporting group, no, especially that you're taking the point of view of the Dr. Archimedes problem, and you felt that somehow your image has been stained. That's why even if you are already resigned, you would like to make a letter, no, showing that you had accomplished something for the benefit of the school. Could you say some more on that? Why such an answer, such a move, or such an action will have to be done by you even if you have resigned already? Bahado and Rina and also Ramos. Something that you can add? Oh, wala na may ma-add, Bahado, to that point that I raised? Also Ramos? Ramos, can you add more? What happens? What happens to your connection? Is there something wrong? Is there something wrong with the connection?
I think wala naman po.
Oh, wala. Okay. Oh. So, Ramos and Bahado and Quinco, what can you say more about the situation? Because your action is that to make a letter explaining your side, that even if you have resigned already, you still do such. Wala na? You have nothing to say? Now, actually, this is one thing, no, that anyone who is in the top position, especially Vice President for Academic Affairs or Academic Vice President, or some other position within the top level, one thing that you have to be very careful about is the trust and confidence, especially of the board, especially on top of you, the president. Okay? Now, what triggered the president and the board of trustees decide to divest some of the functions of the academic vice president? What was that triggered them? What statement? Yes, Abado.
Ang trigger talaga sa kanya, Doc, is yung threat ni Dr. Archimedes Robles na i-release niya daw yung information sa public.
Okay,
If
that's
the salary adjustment will not be,
that is the very point, because the academic vice president has actually made a statement as if threatening the board, no, of trustees together with the president. In fact, he reported, no, that the university has a tremendous accumulated surplus to be able to finance. So that means when it comes to the financing, the claim increase of salary, it can finance. Yeah? And if the demands of the faculty are not met, he may be forced to release this information to the public. This is a threatening statement, which anyone who is on top, and the top management should not do. Okay? Even if your heart is for the faculty in order to have high morale for the faculty, being the academic vice president, you can still state it in another form, not a threatening form. especially that there is an accumulated surplus that the school can really finance the claimed increase of the faculty, increase in salary. You know? But again, threatening is one thing that any administrator for that matter should not do. For a moment, medyo ako ng akong battery. Nakuha ang battery, consider plugging in your device. Battery is still. Okay. Okay. So, this is an area that you should know where you stand. Remember, there is such a thing as man in the middle. You want always for the betterment of a particular sector, but you see to it that you are not also be giving chaos to the top management, especially to the board. You are in the top management, but your side should be something that will be for the benefit of all the sectors, not only for the benefit of one sector, which is the faculty. Now, making a threatening statement will actually redound to the loss of trust and confidence. Remember that. And especially the top management position can easily be taken out, can easily be wiped out by the board of trustees, by the president, when the loss, when that is already the loss of trust and confidence. Automatic na. Unlike in the rank and file, the loss of trust and confidence would have to be still debated on. Would still have to be really given the due process. Or before a particular rank and file faculty or rank and file employee will have to be taken out of the post or will be terminated. But in the case of Dr. Archimedes Robles, the top management still looked at his side. He was not terminated because in fact that could be one of the reasons for the termination of Dr. Archimedes Robles by giving a threatening statement to the board and the president during that particular time. He could have stated it in another way. That's why when you make statement in a meeting, see to it that it is not a sweeping statement that will be detrimental to your side at the end. Your heart would still be that for the benefit of the faculty, but your word should be something that would not put the administration or the school down. Okay? Making some threatening statements. So you should be very careful. So on the part of Dr. Archimedes Robles, he was not careful with his statement because he was telling if the demands of the faculty are not met, I will be forced to release the information. That's very, very threatening. Because he knows all the information being there at the top management. But making such a statement would automatically lose the trust and confidence. Now, losing the trust and confidence of management is a ground for termination. Pero good that the management did not terminate him. It was just in the form of gradual divesting of some of his functions so that he can feel that somehow he's no longer that needed in the organization. Diba? So that is a positive scripting dapat instead, diba? This is correct. No? Because you have to be very careful in this side. So that's why when you become there at the top management, now, bisan pag-against sa imong huna-huna, against sa imong dukan, pero you can still express it in a way that it will not stain your image at the end. Okay? So that's why making a letter has no use. It is just aggravating the situation. In fact, what the top management did was to make it silent for you to have a graceful exit. That's a form, no? Graceful exit. So that instead of terminating you as the Vice President for Academic Affairs, you are just exiting gracefully by having your position divested because you feel you have nothing to do anymore. You feel that a lot of your functions were already taken out. So that is just a sign na di ka na needed. Okay? Voluntary exit. Okay? So that's one thing that you should be very careful about. Okay? Because, again, in this situation, it is just a learning. It is something for you to learn. That please be careful with the words that you will be using, especially if you are in the top management. It might be against what you think is best, but you are not the only one to decide. There is still another hierarchy, another level, the top hierarchy, that would have really to put its decision as a whole. But you can give a sort of a guide without threatening, without making a threatening statement. So, divesting function, this is a good way for the top management. Aron dili lang kay naman sa sila makuan. Kita may lang nga Dr. Archimedes Robles has been there for 10 years already, being the academic vice president, and he did a very good job, and so on. However, even if you did a very good job, but you did also something bad to the top, kaya delikado na siya. Okay? Just the words that you use. Be careful when you are there already, no? Because you'll be leading towards that direction that you become on the top. So bisan pag nagkuan inaawayon imong top, delikado na, no? So we still have to show the respect. We still be very careful with the terms and the statements that we utter, and we have to still prove that, especially this is an education institution, that the maintenance of good camaraderie is still there. But it is just a matter of expressing what is best without threatening the organization. I hope you learn something from that, so that when you become an administrator, your heart is to decide, but to make sure that you're still able to win the other side. Okay? Mona, you're always a man in the middle. You always have to check yourself where you are, so that things will not happen the way Dr. Archimedes Robles has done. So that's why in your analysis of the case, this is a case actually that had happened already. You could not do anything anymore, but just making a sort of a lesson, getting a lesson or learning something, a lesson from this, so that you would make this as your reference when things go wrong, when you will be there in the top management. So always remember Dr. Archimedes Robles about how you state your maybe negative feeling, but still it will come out to be stated positively for the betterment of the whole organization. So it demands a skill on how to state it positively, even if the feeling is negative. Because not at all times that we agree, but disagreeing to be put into something a better statement. Okay? So I hope you learned something from it. So we end our case analysis. We are able to finish analyzing the cases. So with the 5 cases, I really pray that you learn from these 5 cases. each of the cases has a lot of learnings for you on how to apply your management skills, the management principles, and all these theories that we have gone through. So I'm hoping that you will become best administrators, educational administrators in the future. Okay, so that you'll be ready for your contextualized research presentation by this coming Saturday. Okay, it's now time, 10 o'clock, so we'll end it with a prayer. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was
As it
in
was
the
at the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
most sacred heart of Jesus, have
Have
mercy
mercy
on us.
on us.
The Immaculate Heart of Mary, pray
Pray
for
for
us.
us.
In the name of the Father, the Son,
Son
Holy
and Holy
Spirit.
Spirit. Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Salamat.
Dog.
Take care.